I'd like to call today's meeting to order. It is February 28th, last day of February. Board, you have seen the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. And you've seen the minutes from the previous meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Freeman.
Members, we have several recognitions tonight. I wanted to introduce you to some of our outstanding students and staff. And so I want to start with our students from Academy of Craft Training. So Ryan, Nathan, Emily, Daniel, anybody here?
They're not here, so.
Oh, that's good. Let me tell everybody. Ryan Toffel, Nathan Franklin, Emily Salas, and Daniel Reynolds are part of the Academy of Craft Training. Morgan, I'll put you on the spot because I know you know the answer really well. Tell us about what Academy of Craft Training is.
Okay, so really these students get hands-on experiences into the fields of craft. They have HVAC, building construction, masonry, electrical, I think that's it. If I'm missing one, very sorry. Welding, that's the big one. Okay, yeah. And so it's first through third periods that they go and get this experience. If they finish the program, they're matched with a job if they want to, unless they decide to go into furthering their education in college or hands-on stuff. It's a super awesome. I encourage if you ever get the opportunity to go tour it. It's super impressive that they really are doing everything that they're doing in the job in high school, which is awesome. We have some students that have 6 months into jobs getting paid $25, $30 an hour right out of high school, which is super cool and awesome.
How many students get in each year from this?
Usually about around 15. There's not a set number, but it's usually about 15. So they apply for it. We had interviews about 3 weeks ago, and so they're in the process of letting us know how many we have for next year.
It serves the whole area too. A lot of schools, it's a competitive process for a lot of schools to get in. And these four have been considered this year to be employees of the month. And they're in various parts of it. Ryan is in interior, exterior finishes. Nathan was employee of the month for HVAC. Good for him because I know how valuable HVAC people are. Emily and Daniel received employees of the month in November and January respectively for building construction. And that sets them apart, I think, from a large group of students that go through that process. And they name the employees of the month. Once they finish, there's a graduation to get out of the Academy of Craft Training. We've had this in place about 5 years.
That's what I think so.
It's a great partnership with our schools, construction teams, companies, and really just a fantastic showing for our students to be recognized this way. So Morgan, appreciate it. Please congratulate them.
Yes, I will be sure.
It's good. Another group of outstanding seniors is from our HOSA. And HOSA, we're not supposed to say what HOSA means anymore, do we?
We say HOSA, Future Medical Professionals.
Yeah, okay. Used to have a meaning, an acronym, it doesn't anymore. It's Future Medical Professionals.
Correct.
And we have four folks I want to recognize tonight. Guys, come on up, Merritt, Veronica, Morgan, and Anusha. Merritt Flynn, Veronica Turner, Morgan Dunaway, and Anusha Singh. These are conference winners in our state HOSA competition, which means they are state champions. They're going to compete in the national competition in Nashville during June this year, which is fantastic. So Merritt, Veronica, and Morgan had the top 3 spots in sports medicine category. Anusha had a place third in human growth and development categories. This qualifies them all for the national thing. So I'd like to spend a minute or two about what the program they are involved in, so you can hear about that. Maybe you tell us what your ambitions are once you graduate. And then there are some parents in the audience who may want to comment about this program. Another one of our career tech programs I think is really blossoming. Hannah, tell us about this program. There you go.
Our sports med program is an amazing program. Maybe I'm a little biased. It's a 3-year program. They end up getting honors points when they make it to their senior year. They get hands-on experience with injury evals and emergency action plans and physical therapy. And then in their senior year, spring semester, they get to do clinical internship with various different medical facilities around town. So it's super hands-on exposure for them, and then also a variety so they can kind of decide whether this is the path they want or not want. HOSA is the student-led organization attached to it. It's typically reserved for membership for our students in the program. Anusha actually couldn't be in the program because it didn't fit her schedule, but she reached out and said that she had such an interest in medicine and was willing to go above and beyond whatever it took to be a part of it. Merritt and Morgan are two of our officers of HOSA, and then Merritt and Morgan are also, Veronica and Morgan are also student athletic trainers associated with our program. So they spend a lot of hours serving our athletes.
Great. So tell us what your ambitions are once you graduate. Career.
So we're all going to Alabama. So we're all seniors. We're all going to Alabama next year. I'm majoring in chemical engineering on the pre-medical track. So I have ambitions to go to medical school, and through this program I've been exposed to sports medicine, and that's hopefully a career that I want to be involved in.
I'm also going to Bama, and I'm going to be majoring in kinesiology. So just kind of like exercise science generally. And I think I'm going to do athletic training or physical therapy, like something along those lines, working with athletes again. And so this has obviously been really helpful for me to kind of figure that out. And I'm going to be doing, just hopefully something in sports med and athletic training, also help with that during the school year.
I'm also going to Bama. I am majoring in kinesiology and neuroscience, and I really want to do orthopedics. I think I'm leaning more towards surgical, and I definitely want to focus on the spine.
Okay, I'm a sophomore, so I don't know. But I'm exploring a lot of different career paths right now, and I really like exploring medicine like this. Like HOSA has been really fun for me, so I think I'm going to continue my medicine going forward.
So one of the things that the high school tries to do in their portfolio with Career Technical is offer programs for students who want to, right out of school, go into a career, and many do with ACT, and some that want to continue into their 4-year paths because it's available. There's opportunities at high school to do a lot of exploration that way. So I'm interested, parents, if you got any comments about programming. You're not required to speak, but
I will, but Merit has loved this program, and she comes home all the time, and she's always so excited. And then Sutton is now doing this program too, my younger child. But her dad is in the healthcare industry, he's now a doctor, but and so he has kind of enjoyed this as well. And she's just learned so much, and I think it's just so valuable that they can do this shadowing of doctors that they're doing right now. I just thank you, Coach Peterson. It's been just such a great opportunity.
I'll speak as a parent. Kaylee went through all 3 years with Hannah and did the internship and loved it. Is a kinesiology major now and it's made 100 in every one of her classes so far. She said it's easier than Coach P's classes. So she's four deep into her major so far and is just crushing it. So the way that you're preparing them, the way she's preparing you, I hope you're taking note because you're going to crush it when you get to the next level.
it's good.
We'll say that anything that helps young people figure out something that they're going to love for a career is just awesome. And when we got down to Alabama and talking to the head athletic trainer down there, he said, "Oh yeah, I've heard of that program. They're strong."
Hey, nice go, Hannah. Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Pam, come on up. Hannah Hickman has been a teacher at Vestavia Hills City Schools for the last 8 years, been a business ed teacher since 2008. This year, she was recognized for the great work that she does in our schools with our students. She was selected as the Alabama Business Education Association's 2022 Alabama Business Education Teacher of the Year. Congratulations, man. So to do that, you got to be a part of all these associations, but I would say to do it and really get recognized, you got to be good at your job. And does a great job and has much passion for the program she has. So tell us a little bit about the business program offerings at the high school. And then Tanya, I'll ask you to say some words about it.
So we have the IT and computer science path. We also have the business management administration pathway. We have the financial pathway and the marketing pathway. So all those courses kind of go into our business education. And so robotics, I teach robotics from the programming side. And we also have our robotics team, and they're going to Worlds in May. So 3 of our 5 teams are going to Worlds in May. But we really work hard as a department to make sure these kids have a variety of courses to take.
A wide variety of offerings, so many of those can help toward the college path or the career path. That's excellent.
So I'll just say, pardon me for not saying it. I would just say that, Ms. Hickman, a lot of these teachers, they wear so many different hats. They have their hands in so many different aspects of school life. And I just know that if there's a need that comes up, Ms. Hickman will say, I'll take that, I'll do that. And then, so it's so appreciated. But just to kind of tell you, I got an email. We all get those emails that you just are like, oh my gosh, I don't want to open that. But this was from a parent who had a younger child who Pam had organized kind of a girls in engineering kind of event and did it from scratch and organized students from our school to be part of it. This email was this long, and she could not stop talking just about how organized it was, but how helpful, but also just to provide an opportunity for girls in our community to be exposed to the different robotics, engineering, a lot of the STEM stuff. And it just went on and on and on. And so I included some of that in one of her reference letters. And I just feel like I'm glad you're here to be recognized, but just that our community knowing that we have teachers who are truly invested, not just in our high school kids, but in our younger kids and watching these programs grow.
That's right. Congratulations. All right. Last group tonight are our distinguished teachers from the State Hills Elementary East and administrators. So I see Mark and groups and the coaches here as well. Come on up, guys. Just recently, the State Hills Elementary East became a designated school of character. And not that they haven't been one, because they have for a long time. This is an official designation.
We were official before.
That's right.
I say that all.
Yeah.
2012, we were a state and national school of character. So this is going through the process and being affirmed again by the character.org. So.
Well, that's right. And the character.org is part of our Hope Institute work that has been putting together. They've been doing so much work in. I'll let Mark explain about their acronym, their core values. But this is just a indication that they are doing the things that are the right things to do for our students in terms of teaching character. And part of that is through core values. So share with me what you put in place this year.
Core values, we use Eagle as our touchstone. Nothing to do with Auburn at all. This is East Eagle was a thing back in the 80s and 90s. When we got along here, when I came along, it really wasn't being recognized to be so much. I think it was more we're all rebels. But we thought this was a good opportunity to bring back the Eagle. And we made it an acronym. It stands for empathy, acceptance, grit, love, and excellence. It sort of tells the story of you got to know the need by understanding how other people feel. You have to accept other people and be willing to meet the need even if they're different. You've got to be willing to meet the need even if it's hard. You have to have grit. The act of meeting the need is the act of love, and then excellence is when you do it again and again and again. You're a responsible and trustworthy friend. So we tell that story to our children. We try to model it. We try to get them to tell the story back to us. And so that's what the Eagle is all about. Those are our core values. Anything that I left out there?
And I love how they just infuse it as part of the day and part of everything that goes on. It's really just an exemplar of what happens in all of our schools. But this is the third school that's been recognized in the last 3 years for the School of Characters. That's really fantastic work. But an affirmation is what's been happening a long time. So, Coach, appreciate you coming back. And maybe next month.
We couldn't have done it. As I said last month, she was instrumental. Allison was instrumental in writing this application. So I definitely want her to. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And while Dr. Freeman's getting back to his seat, I want to talk to the HOSA ladies for just a second. Coach P has a special place in my heart. One of my daughters went through her classes, loved it. Actually, leading into college, went to work for a physical therapy clinic to figure out if this is what I want to do. She went down to Auburn, enrolled in kinesiology, took another course outside of kinesiology, fell in love with that. She did a complete 180, went a whole different direction, but that's not why I'm here talking. 6 years ago, there was a tragic accident at the high school. Y'all probably don't know about it. I know Coach B doesn't talk about it. But one of our students was killed on the field. And Coach P and her crew were there, jumped on the individual and brought him back to life. And a month ago, Coach P was at the wedding of my daughter who married that young man. So, there's more to it than wrapping ankles and broken fingers and things like that. So your parents, y'all know, you see what your kids go through, but know the importance of what y'all are doing in this program that we have. Because you never know when you're going to get called to do what you've been trying to do. So I applaud you guys for what you're doing. Thank you.
Everyone, you're welcome to stay. I want to say, if you have something you need to do, this is a good time to All right. All right. Item 5 is our financial statement.
Good afternoon, board members. I've provided the January 2022 financial statements and check register for your review. As of January 2022, we have collected 76.67% of our budgeted ad valorem tax revenue compared to the 59.6% that we had received this time last year. Some of this large increase from prior years due to timing differences of when we received the payments. But as of today, the last day of February, our collections are still considerably above where they were at this time last year. Our total expenditures in the general fund as of January 31 were 35.14% of the budget compared to 34.1% last year. All things being equal, we should be at or below 33.3% of our budgeted expenditures. So 35.14% is good considering we have paid several large annual expenditures for debt, software subscriptions, liability insurance, etc. Our monthly financial statements and check registers are available for viewing on the board website after they are approved, and all bank accounts have been reconciled as of January 31, 2022.
Ms. Courtney, recommend the board approve the financial statement for January 2022.
Board, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation for approval of financial statement for January of 2022. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you, Courtney, appreciate that. One thing I note, just as a point of information, is that financial information that Ms. Brennan submits each month, our check registers, all available online. Anybody who'd like to see expenditures of the board is available to see. Item 6, consent items. I recommend the board approve those items related to out-of-state field trips, out-of-state overnight trips, and in-state overnight trips.
Board, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation for approval of consent items. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Once again, man, they take great trips now.
Yes. It's good to be in robotics or theater or any of that.
Exactly.
Absolutely. All right. Under business, item A, I recommend the board approve budget amendment number 1.
Board, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation for approval of budget amendment item number 1. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
One of the things I'll point about this budget amendment that you've approved is Courtney made reference to additional revenues we've seen through this point in the year, and that's a good sign. So the budget amendment reflects both increases in revenue and expenditures. But that'll be the first. Most likely we'll do a second one before the year's out. All right, item B is correction to interim principal contract salary, and this is really only correction in wording. Ms. Trespack's being paid correctly. We just didn't have the right number listed on the contract, so this is correcting what we have been doing in practice.
Zero looks so good.
Pro bono work.
Courtney, we're not gonna be up anymore. I mean, that's up. All right, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation for correction to the interim principal contract salary. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
We'd like to preface item C with a comment about what the attestation affidavit is for capital projects. Last year, the legislature approved a bill and the governor signed the bill that would exempt projects by public entities such as school boards that are less than $500,000 from being submitted to the Division of Construction Management. And they are the oversight arm in our state for projects such as these. And that exemption comes with it some administrative oversight. This attestation is one that basically I would sign demonstrating that we are following the rules that we should follow with construction. We've employed an architect. We're abiding by any particular bid requirements that result from that. But it's a way for them to check a box generally that we're abiding by any other laws when it's under $500,000. So the architect has to sign one of these similar to it just to make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. But that's the idea of what this document is. So my recommendation is for the board to authorize the superintendent to execute the attestation affidavit for capital projects.
That's a motion, right?
Yes.
Okay. Board, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation for authorization of the superintendent to execute the attestation affidavit for capital projects. Please don't make me say that again. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Item D is part of our capital plan that we've had in place this year, which involves light installation for the field at Dolly Ridge. As you know, we use that field a great deal for our events, and it's also used as part of our shared use curriculum with the city. So we'll be putting lights on the field. So item D is I recommend the board approve the purchase of lights and poles at Vestavia Hills Elementary, Dolly Ridge.
Board, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation for approval of purchase of lights and poles at Dolly Ridge. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Guy's not here, so
That's right.
I'll let him know that we did that.
Dr. Martin, just one quick point on that, because that is a single contract. Would you just make sure the board understands how, because of the value of that, how we do this?
Well, I can share, this is going to be a similar process to what we utilize with the high school track, where we're purchasing the poles and the lights off of a state purchasing cooperative. And so that's why this is split into two different action items. And after this is also being paid for with the SCA funds.
That's right. So, okay, thank you. Item B, I recommend the board approve the bid for field light installation at Vestavia Hills Elementary School.
Board, you've heard the superintendent's request for approval of bid for light installation at Dolly Ridge Elementary. Do I have a motion to approve it?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Does this fall under Schneider in any way?
It does not.
Okay.
It does not. Good question there. The lights, though, I'm not sure particular type lights, no LED fixture, I believe.
It's a must-go lights and what, yes.
Okay. So it's like what we've been retrofitting. Okay.
And if I could share, so we're looking at delivery on March 16th and then 4 to 6 week installation. So by mid-April or.
Okay.
Item F, recommend the board approve the contract for field lights for Vestavia Hills Elementary, Dolly Ridge.
Board, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation for approval of the contract for Vestavia Dolly Ridge field lights. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Board members, item G and H on your agenda that we'll vote on separately have to do with the projects that are related to improvements for athletic facilities at the high school. They are separate projects. One, of course, is for some continued renovation of the field house underneath the visitor side stadium, and one is for a video board. I do want to make clear about these two items. They were not part of our capital plan. The reason we're able to begin to move forward with this upon your approval is that the funds for the projects are through donations to the athletic department. So I commend the athletic director and coach who's been working on this to secure donations for projects. It's not public funds that would be spent on it in this case. It would be donations from other entities. Item G, I recommend the board approve the contract for architectural services for athletic improvements.
Board, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation for approval of architectural services for athletic improvements. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.
Item H, recommend the board approve the contract for architectural services for athletic facility improvements.
Board, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation for approval of contract for architectural services for athletic facility improvements. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Thank you.
Board members, in March, I do want to just add one other thing to that. Coach Miles will be here, Strozo will be here to provide an athletic update for you on our progress for the strategic plan. And I would like for them to talk a little more specifically about how a video board is used, because it is an expenditure, it is related funds. However, it does have an important business benefit in the give back through advertisement dollars into the program. And that's an important, I think, point to make about an initial investment like this. So I know she'll be prepared to share that with you. And under personnel, I recommend the board approve the items as submitted.
Board, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation for personnel actions. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
All in favor, or do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Thank you.
Board, our report tonight is a twofold report. You got a glimpse of it when we did our recognitions, when we highlighted some of the great work going on in career technical education at the high school, and also from the great work that's being done for our students and our way of supporting them through things such as character education. And tonight, Dr. Antonio Cooper and Ms. Jennifer Bailey are going to bring the report on both of those areas in our district. Dr. Cooper, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Hello. Jumping right in. There we go. We are continuing to use the same graphic that we used 2 years ago when I presented to you all about all the updates for our career technical education programs in our school system. And today, like Dr. Freeman mentioned, we will be talking specifically about STEM. And so our goal within our career technical education program is to make sure that we're offering higher level actual programs that are directly connected to business and industry for our high school students, making sure we're connecting that to our middle school programs. And our goal and what we're actually reaching into this year is to go all the way down from elementary school. And moving our way back up, we want to be able to prepare students for advanced courses through high school and into college, to get experience in their majors before they actually go to college, to make sure it's something that they want to do, as opposed to going through the high school, taking academic courses and getting to college and realizing that, hey, this is not what I thought I wanted to do. So that's the goal for the top layer. And the bottom layer is just to make sure for those students that are uncertain about college and or know for sure that they want to go straight into the careers, we don't want them to leave after walking across the stage with no certifications or qualifications or experiences to be able to contribute to economy positively and get out of you all's bank accounts and pockets and off of your insurance and getting their own. So that's our whole goal, twofold. I participated in a workforce development session earlier in this year where representatives from the Alabama STEM Council brought up their phrase and motto for the year, which is modern learning for a modern economy. And that's the main goal that we have for our high school students and our middle school students going through our career and technical education programs. And we're reaching down into elementary as we speak every day at Liberty Park, making sure we're providing those opportunities for those students to learn, because the economy and the business world is ever changing. And I like to say that we're preparing students for a future that we all don't know what it looks like. So we have to do things that are outside of the box and a bit different and different from the way that we've become accustomed to. So talking about the updates that we have within our career and technical education program, I really feel like Greg Byrne, I have to say Greg Byrne because Alabama's in the championship almost every year in some sport. His job is to give the coaches what they want to get out of the way. And you saw our all-star coaches with our all-star students getting awarded for state and national recognition and getting ready to go and compete against the world in robotics. And so my job is to get them in that position and get out of their way. So part of that was Pam Hickman came to me and expressed interest in wanting to kind of change our computer science program from just being in IT alone and going into business information technology, which is a newly adopted and approved course of study that the State Department put into place in January. So within that program of study, there are a lot of different areas for the students to be able to explore on the high school level, including gaming, of course, living a life as a YouTube professional, things that don't seem that attractive are very lucrative for our youth now. Being a computer science teacher, system administrator, computer engineer, and software engineer. So she felt like this new pathway called our business, well, this is our business medium. This is what we already have at the high school. And these are the courses that our students are able to take. But I will go right into our new pathway and come back to our immediate pathway. So in our business technology pathway, you all approved business software applications as the year one course last month. So our students next year will be able to start in this pathway and matriculate all the way to actually work-based learning opportunities and or going into full-on internships by their senior year. One of the most exciting classes that we will offer in the 2023-2024 school year is the computer gaming and simulation design class. And that's building up to be one of our best classes at the high school. We're excited to see what all it entails. Mrs. Hickman and Mr. Davenport will be in charge of teaching those classes. And just to share with you, our business program is growing. It has the most room for growth. And case in point right now, our AP computer science class registration has doubled from this year going into next year, as well as our cybersecurity class. It has doubled. So those numbers are constantly going up. Our students are learning more and more about the different course offerings we have up on the third floor, and they're actually going up there and taking advantage of it. Also in the business pathway, yes, sir.
I had a question, but.
So like cybersecurity and gaming, how do we train our teachers on that to teach it?
Great question. So cybersecurity is a Project Lead the Way course. And when you all approved that course 2 years ago, we immediately sent Mrs. Hickman through Project Lead the Way certification training so that she would be qualified to teach that course. And every year we have to pay a site license to be able to have that course offered in our course of study and offer it to our students. And so for computer science and gaming, that's a 2023-24 course. So we will send our teachers through state level training for that course as well.
Okay. So our teachers go through state level training, like Ms. Hickman wouldn't train another teacher, they're all state. Okay.
Yes.
So our population in the high schools remained steady the last 2 or 3 years. What we attribute the growth, that spike in that interest in those courses? Yeah, Tanya, Antonio, whoever, I'll take a shot at that.
Yeah, I'll go, yeah.
You want to go?
Well, okay, let me say this. To expose students to anything that's different, I mean, it does start a little bit small, but I'm already seeing an interest picking up on the gaming side. I've already had, student groups approach me. I mean, there's all kinds of national competitions on gaming. A lot of schools have the e-games and things like that, but when you bring the side of it for these students who are wired to program, then you're talking their lingo, because they can see themselves going into this career and working for companies on the programming side. So I think that it's about to pick up some steam. No pun intended.
Word of mouth is also good. So the kids, the small groups that take them, and they go and they tell other students, this class was fantastic, Ms. Hickman was fantastic. I mean, I have 2 at the high school, and I can tell you in many of the tracks, it's the kids selling the program from the teachers doing a fantastic job.
I was, as an anecdote, I was in Seattle several years ago and visiting with a Vestavia alum who graduated, I believe, in '94. He was then working at Amazon, is now working, I think, at Electronic Arts. And their school system out in the Seattle area had a computer, I guess, gaming code class. And to see that that's what the folks, the experts at Amazon and Microsoft wanted their kids in, I am thrilled that we have this, because I think it's a way whether they end up coding games or not, they learn how to code at this age, there will be jobs out there. And same with cybersecurity. I mean, I've just gotten through a case where it's all about cybersecurity, and there's such a need for experts in that who can both understand the technology, so we have that on one end, but also can communicate and can speak both the language of business and technology. So it's a great combination.
For these classes, with the computers that we have in place, Keith, can we do these with what we have? Does this take something special above and beyond the everyday classroom computer?
We're adding capability as we replace the computers as they go through a rotation cycle. We've already taken into account 2 of our labs that are up there, and we're trying to rotate through those to increase our capabilities on that level. So it's in our planning, and we've executed in 2 of the labs up there.
We have a maintenance schedule for all of our CTE programs. So case in point, last school year was for drafting. And we updated all the computers with the help of funds from technology and career education budget from Perkins. This year was actually for IT and computer science. So what I wanted to try to do in 2 years within that program, the price came in with technology funds to help you do in 1 year, which is fully outfit the Mrs. Hickman's lab with brand new computers.
Now, didn't you say that 4th year you have internships set up? We have companies that.
That's our goal, and just to be fully transparent, it's not a surprise, COVID kind of derailed us. We had a partnership that was budding with SHIP, and SHIP was going to allow us to have 2 or 3 students to apply for a full-on internship, paid internship within their organization. Then they shut down and kind of went all virtual, so that closed those opportunities. And I pointed at you just to talk about EA and Amazon. SHIP looked at the program offerings that we had, and their problem is they have engineers with a high school diploma, sitting next to MIT master's level engineers, and both of them are learning how to be engineers within the program. So they're committed to helping us and starting on our level to prepare students to come out and be directly ready to be employed by SHIP and other agencies. So we just have to reestablish those partnerships. We have opportunities with Annam First to work in their IT department downtown as an internship, where there's a guarantee that once our students go off to college, whenever they come back for a break, they have a job with them, summer, spring break, or just any kind of break from college, they can come back. So we're working on fleshing those out and developing more. I mean, this is the camera. If there are any more Vestavia businesses, reach out to us at the central office, and we'll set you up with the internship program. So we have those budding, and it's exciting. Our business, like I said, this program has a lot of potential to grow even further. And to answer one of your questions about, well, Dr. Freeman's question about the interest, is what Mrs. Roselle said, and it's also what I'll get to later in the presentation, our middle school course offerings. We're offering more Project Lead the Way computer science related courses to our middle school students that they hadn't had before. So eventually we'll potentially outgrow ourselves and really have to revisit this and figure out what we need to do to expand.
What percentage of the high school is involved in, not just the business track, any of the career tech ballpark?
Ballpark is growing. I can say over the last 3 years, we have nearly doubled the amount of students that are participating in those courses. Would you say that too?
I would agree.
We doubled. I can say right now, our drafting program is our highest as far as the enrollment is concerned. And it's followed closely by our health sciences program. And the only reason our health science program isn't larger than our drafting program is because it's 10th through 12th grade. Drafting, however, is 9th through 12th. So if you add a grade level to that in our health science, which is our fastest growing class, Mrs. Peterson teaches 6 courses right now. She gives up her planning to teach an additional course, and then we have another teacher there, Mr. Hudson, that helps out, but he also does athletic training. So that program can be larger right now. But as it stands, drafting is the largest, then health sciences, followed by business management information, and IT, and bringing up the rear are our accounting and our marketing or pathways. All right, so our next one is our architecture and construction, which is our design technology pathway, which is if a student is interested in being an engineer or architect, this is the pathway that they will participate in. Like I said, right now it has the most students as far as enrollment is concerned. It has for the last 2 or 3 years. Mr. Brooks and Mr. Skews have done a great job of building this program out and just offering opportunities before and after school for students to come in and get those experiences. Mr. Brooks also has a great partnership with Lathan and Associates, where they come in and guest lecture. They've also, pre-COVID, agreed to allow some of our students to come senior year and job shadow an intern. So we're working on developing that and getting that back in place. So this is our engineering track in all 4 classes, starting at the freshman campus. And then our architecture track is similar with the same introductory level class. All right, so health science. The parents say it the best. Everybody knows about Mrs. Peterson's or Coach Peterson's program throughout the state. In fact, the State Department reached out to her to lead state level training on OSA and health sciences in general. And several other systems close to us are starting to try to mimic her programming created in their schools. So she's leading in that field. And like I said, it's only 3 years and it's our most popular course. If we add that next level to it, it will be our most popular course. And she does a good job of putting our students in. That's another, I mean, not even a shameless plug, it's a request if there are any other medical fields out there, because we're running out of places to send our interns because we have so many. She didn't have this problem 3 years ago, but now she does. She calls and says, you know, she needs me to go out and find different places to be able to serve our student interns.
And one thing, you didn't mention it, but as a parent, I'll tell you that these tracks have done, you've done a great job incorporating state required classes in these.
Mm-hmm.
So like Foundations of Health Science incorporates health and career prep A maybe.
Yeah.
So it's giving our kids the option to be able to take these while getting the state required stuff out of the way too, in a more useful manner probably. So
That's a
thank you
great,
for that.
that's a great point, because in the competition with master scheduling and all the things, the variables of trying to get it fit in, when you can take a class that gives you career prep and health, meets those points, that.
I mean, the
very
new
attractive
business
course.
class was one of the most popular freshman classes to take from an upcoming freshman, I can tell you that. So,
And it fulfills requirements toward your diploma.
Opens up.
yeah, and it opens your schedule up in later years for more of this or whatever you want to take. So thank you for blending that together.
Do the students find the corporate internships, or are you locating those for them?
The teachers are doing a great job of that, and as I go to our different city level meetings and just, well, Vestavia City and our Birmingham and Jefferson County meetings, I'm brushing shoulders with business and industry and bringing in those partnerships. Case in point, I reached out and got in touch with SHIP through a workforce development cohort that I was a part of, but like with Mrs. Peterson, currently 99%, if not 100% of the placement opportunities she has, she's discovered on her own. And all of our foundational courses offer that career prep piece to it. All right, so in our middle school, 2 years ago, when I did this presentation, we had none of this. We had no STEM related to Project Lead the Way courses, and now we have 5 that are offered at both of our middle schools for our students to take, from computer science for innovators and makers, app creators, where they're actually working on tablets and creating apps themselves, medical detectives, which has a large STEM component to it, to design and modeling and automation and robotics. And our middle school robotics programs are going to worlds. Look.
Yeah, we have 2 teams that made the worlds. So, I mean, I had my first experience at the state robotics competition in Auburn a couple weekends ago. And it was just so incredible because our students were 2 of only 6 middle school teams. And there were 46 schools represented, so they were competing against 40 high school teams. And 5 of those were Vestavia High School. So I was the coach because my teacher's about to have a baby. And so that was kind of like, I hope you don't really need me, because all I can say is put your safety glasses on. So thankfully, I leaned in on the high school coach to make sure that my kids were ready. But we're so excited for them to have that experience in May. So.
Well, congratulations on that too. All right, so in the presentation from 2019, I shared updates about the legislature on the Alabama Computer Science Act, which required us to have course offerings of computer science at our high school, middle school, and elementary level. And the way the law came out to be was it wanted us to do it in waves. So per law, we were supposed to have had computer science course offerings, just offerings. Not all students have to take the courses by 2020, 2021. We already had courses that satisfied that law in 1920, and we added cybersecurity thanks to you all approving it for the 2021 school year. Middle school was supposed to be this year. You all approved the Project Lead the Way courses in 1920, so we were actually offering those middle school courses in 2021. And elementary school is supposed to go into law for this upcoming year. And they've made some changes. So to be transparent and share challenges that we all are about to approach going into this next school year, for our middle school and our high school, the law says that we're simply supposed to offer courses. And it never spoke towards elementary. Well, this year they just came out with this thing, life of its own. Middle school this year, next slide, we're too far. There we go. All right. Middle school, elementary school, they've come out and said that we have to offer computer science instruction to all of our elementary students. So that expedited our plan. What we were originally doing was certifying our elementary teachers in Project Lead the Way in waves. Because it's a big task as far as finances are concerned. So we were using our Perkins dollars from Career and Technical Education as well as the High Hope grant to be able to satisfy that. Well, with this, it presented some changes. There we go, some challenges for us, and that those challenges come in the form of getting K-5 elementary teachers trained by August. Also incorporating computer science lessons into an already jam-packed instructional schedule as far as main core subjects at the elementary schools, and then opportunities for deep exploration in the K-5 classroom. So what we do have is a model program at Liberty Park, and this is the first opportunity we have to be able to show you what it looks like there.
We're learning about the Lincoln Memorial, and they are building that marble chair that's located inside the Lincoln Memorial. They think it's fun and it's play, and they love to play with Play-Doh, but they're learning those basic parts of architecture and of design. You know, we're talking a little bit about like, what does that chair look like? So they're looking at real world, pictures of that structure and the materials that it's made of, and they're crafting with Play-Doh. Kind of what you see, there's arms, there's a place for them to sit, there's the back of the chair. So a lot of what, especially kindergarten does, looks like play to an outsider, but they're getting that exposure and experience that's so important. And the opportunities for them to collaborate and use their imaginations. They are laying groundwork for what we'll do in years to come as our bills get more complicated and as things get a little bit more strategic and specific. So fourth grade is going to build models of the White House. So we're going to talk about the structures of the porticos and how the columns provide support for that. And they're going to have to build from cardboard the whole structure. So they're going to have to figure out, how am I going to make this stay together? How can I make the structure secure and stable? We can build anything. We can build anything. We can build towers out of index cards. We can build houses out of cardboard. We can build with Legos. That part doesn't really matter. They will not have any trouble developing engineering skills or, taking these big jobs and, engineering or in design and math fields, science fields. They're going to be naturals for that. But the soft skills is what we can do here through the building, through the science and the math, through the technology, learning how to communicate effectively, how to communicate kindly, how to collaborate, how to disagree, how to share ideas, and how to let go of your ideas. We say every single day we're building with our hearts, not just our hands. And trying to help them build up who they are through those patterns that form our character. And it's such a real and authentic place for us to do that. And I'm really honored to be able to guide that with our students here.
So that's a full-on STEM special that we have at Liberty Park Elementary, where our teachers have opportunities to dive deeply into those computer science components for our students. While that's ideal, what we have to do as far as addressing our challenges on our own from within is to satisfy the law through our school library media specialists going into next school year. So what we will have them do is come together in June and go through a professional development series to be able to equip them to be able to satisfy the components of the law as far as computational thinking is concerned to move forward into the new school year. All right, so that's kind of depressing. So go ahead.
Do we have a rollout plan for the pilot that's at Big Help to go to another school?
We do. We're just gonna need a source of funds to do it. The commitment's there for sure. It's really been very successful. But we do, listen, our idea here, in terms of just being transparent, as Dr. Cooper has said, is we want it to be school-wide, system-wide, and I want there to be enough momentum and desire that all of our kids in K-5 and all of our schools get this experience. We're not ready to next year do it, but I'd love to be able to at the 23-24 school year to have that in place next year.
You keep mentioning the law. You've got to do this, you've got to do that, and obviously you and everybody else is ahead of the curve. What about these other systems that are looking at this going, we don't know what to do? I mean, what happens if the school is not offering this for elementary like we are? Do you know?
I just hope they're not on their schedule for monitoring that year. That's the way I can put it. I mean, it's a part of the curriculum that we've been given by legislators to teach. And it's a matter of just like math, science, and reading and social studies, we have to and are bound by law to teach what's out there the best way we can.
The STEM class is the vehicle to do it. It's the right way to do it because you can just focus solely on it. It is a big ask to have our classroom teachers try to absorb those things. So my guess is, Dr. Cooper's, that most systems are following somewhat similar to us. We're probably a step ahead in the middle grades because we're able to offer that, selection. But in elementary, it probably is going to look a lot like what we're doing.
How often do the kids go to STEM at Big Help?
They go once a week. Every class goes once a week.
So that's considered like a special?
It is. It's in the regular rotation of specials.
I love the student doing STEM with his AC/DC shirt on. I'm sorry, Dr.
I've been on pitch counting you all. Just saying, I'm gonna be in his office tomorrow morning. All right, to not end on such a sour note or challenge, I wanted to share some exciting news that we had. And this picture really shows how I feel on the inside, how I've been feeling for quite some time about the opportunity for us to offer our first STEM camp in quite some time. So we will host 2 different STEM camps. We'll have an elementary STEM camp for rising 4th and 5th graders. And we'll do 48 students per session. We'll do 2 sessions of that. So the first 2 weeks of June will be 1 session, and we'll come back around and do the last 2 weeks in June with the same session, but a different set of students to give them that opportunity. And the same setup for our middle school. So we'll be able to offer this free camp to 96 rising 4th and 5th grade students and 120 rising 6th through 8th grade students. The location will be at Pizzitz. I just shared the sessions, June 6th through 16th. So it'll be Monday through Thursday, 8 to 12 o'clock, where the students will be able to go a deep dive into STEM to really expose them, especially from that rising 6th grade through that 8th grade schedule, because they're only allowed so many electives at the middle school. So this is an opportunity for them to be able to dabble in STEM which on the high school end is going to increase enrollment with our expectation, anticipation, and not only business information technology, but also in health sciences, because we're going to have a medical component to our middle school STEM summer camp. And elementary will be the same time, same hours, same setup. Registration will go live tomorrow. We'll work to send an email out to all of our parents. Registration will be open from March 1st through April 8th. And we will do selection via lottery. And yeah, that was Mr. Bendall's idea.
No, it wasn't.
All complaints.
All complaints go to the president in July.
So that's our goal. And the exciting piece about the STEM camp as I transition to Ms. Bailey is that for middle school, it'll have a social component to it as well, where our students will actually do a presentation, hopefully to you all this summer, where they're going to work with a prosthetic hand through the company of Neuromaker. So they'll actually be able to build the hand from scratch and all of the wiring that's connected to the hand, and then they'll connect it to the computer and code the hand to do different things. So the competition that we'll have at the end of each summer session is a rock, paper, scissors competition. And this is an actual prototype of a prosthetic that is actually going on individuals throughout the world right now. And they wear a headband of sorts, Bluetooth, that translates the wavelengths and patterns in their brain into code. So they can think, wiggle your index finger, and the index finger will actually wiggle. So our students will be able to work with that actual hand that's in the field and prototype test and learn how to use it.
Hey, Dr. Cooper, just as, I just want to commend the whole district on this. So I'm a chemical engineer. Had I had access to even one small part of this in high school, my collegiate career certainly would have been easier, but I would have been so more prepared for my professional career at Exxon with hands-on experience. So what this program brings in all of our career paths is immeasurable to the school district. And these kids will have opportunities that I know they don't see them right now, but they, even if you're using them to find out this is a career I do not want to take, there's immense value in that. Immense value. So thank you for all your work to expand this program.
So the registration opens tomorrow?
Yes, I didn't notice that the hand, that's actually the hand that our students will be interacting with. And our elementary students will be using Vex robotics in STEM. But yes, sir, registration opens tomorrow.
And that's going to be a system-wide email going out to everybody, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Good.
So I want to just provide some updates on student support, some of our community partnerships. We have a couple new ones that I wanted to talk to you about, and then just talk through some of the supports that we have implemented this year for students, really that we've been implementing all along the way. But I think our numbers and need has increased with COVID. So the first thing I want to talk about is the community partnerships. And what I did is I linked these for you all so you could go back and look. And of course, let me know if you have any questions. I can give you more information. But Mark and Cindy are here based on the work that they've done all along, but also in partnership with Hope Institute through Stanford University and the character work that we're doing and continuing to do at all of the schools throughout the district. And really just establishing culture in our schools and across the district. That really serves as a prevention measure for our students. If we're working on their character while they're in kindergarten and having those conversations all the way through, then we see differences in behavior and discipline referrals and even some of our counseling needs as they age. And so that has been just an incredibly valuable partnership for us. Impact Family Counseling, we have expanded that partnership this year, and I'll talk with you about that a little bit more detail in just a minute. But we continue to work very closely with them, very valuable partner for us. Children's Hospital, we can refer, we have a lot of referrals. I don't know if you all know about their PERC program, but it's the Psychiatric Intake Response Center. And that's usually referred out by our counselors and Anna Gaston, our social worker, when we have students and families who have a pretty significant need. And Children's Hospital provides them with guidance on what health services they need and how to get those. And of course, they still work with us on some of our mandatory state trainings like Aaron's Law and that sort of thing. The Amelia Center, of course, we provide that to families for grief counseling and other, as a resource for something like that. Bradford Health Services, we continue to partner with them for substance abuse, and in fact have, recently leaned on them for, here's our situation, what do you recommend our next step for this family would be? And they're very responsive for us. The Crisis Center is a community resource that's on our resource list, which is also posted on our district website that we often refer families to. But Neighborhood Bridges, I want to come back to that. Help the Hills, we continue to work with them. Work with the community awareness, parent awareness meetings where we bring, they seek input from the community on what would you like information on. And they organize those and partner. Sometimes Anna Gaston, again, she's all over the place and she provides guidance on what those parent awareness meetings need to look like. And we've also been working this year a little bit more with JBS Mental Health Authority. So I just wanted to give you an idea of what that's about. It actually covers 3 counties, Jefferson, Blount, and St. Clair, and they provide really intensive services. So if we have a student, and principals could never imagine this, who really could not get to school because of anxiety or something like that, the family felt like they couldn't get the student to school, we would refer to JBS, and they would actually go in the home and provide counseling, not only for the student, but also the family, support services, really to the point where they would be part of the process of transitioning the student back into the school building. And so just very intensive supports that they provide for our community and for our families. And so Neighborhood Bridges is actually something that a parent in the Liberty Park community brought to us. And they said, I know we probably don't have students with a lot of need in our community, but this sounds like a really great way to meet needs. And we're like, you actually might be surprised at the need in our community. And he talked to us about Neighborhood Bridges. What it is, it's a nonprofit and they manage everything for us, but you can go in and our community can join and download this app. And it also is a way to bring in more of our community, not just our folks who have kids in the schools. And there's a way that you can submit a need. So it's all anonymous. So let's say it was football season and I couldn't buy cleats for my child. So I could go in and anonymously report that need, the size, what my child needed, and then people who had signed up to meet needs would see it, they'd get a notification, it would pop up, they would see it, say, I'll meet that need. It goes to one person at the school campus who manages that, and then they bring it to a central location like a fire station, need is met. It's just super quick like that. And so, really, I hope opens the door for families to say, hey, we have this very specific need, and for other families to contribute in that way. There is the opportunity for monetary donations, which is completely managed by this nonprofit organization. Hoover City Schools uses it. They raved about it, and I was a little bit of a cynic. I was like, what's the catch? And they really had to sell me on it because I wasn't so sure it was that easy and that I just didn't believe in all the things. So they had community members, parents, teachers who had been involved jump on the call and talk about how valuable it's been in their system. So we're excited to launch that, and we're hoping to do it this spring so that if families have needs, they can go ahead and post them this spring and start having those met throughout the spring and summer. It will not compete with Rebels Helping Rebels at the high school. That's high school specific, so they'll continue to do the work that those teacher leaders developed with that program. So, and then we continue to work with Vector Solutions with our Safe Schools reporting app so that the community students have opportunity to report safety concerns, bullying concerns anonymously. And we receive, everything from praise for administrators and teachers to bullying reports to, hey, there's a light out in the parking lot. So that's been something that's really valuable for us. Any questions about any of those? One really fast. So I wanted to talk a little bit about impact. This year we've expanded that. Like I said, Dr. Cooper as part of his High Hopes grant, part of that money is dedicated to Tier 3 counseling. Now, I'll be real honest and tell you we've already used that part of our grant this year. We're out of money. But we're able to use it. You know, our counselors are so very busy going into classrooms, providing individual counseling at the elementary level, some small groups. But we thought this would free them up to do more counseling with classes if we brought in Impact to do small groups that are identified through our behavioral screeners, or we have this group of students who maybe struggle with anxiety, or their parents are going through a divorce, and so they have real targeted groups, and Impact comes in and they work with those students. If we have students who have really significant behavioral issues or mental health concerns, then they can also work with them. And so we've been continuing to do that, K-12 this year. As part of another grant that we did through the state, we have been able, we know that there's need that just increases. We've been able to contract with Impact for a Tier 3 counselor for our elementary schools. And so she is scheduled at an elementary school every single day of the week. So Mondays, for example, she may be at West, and she has a caseload of students who are referred through SST and through the counselors. And so she sees those students until they rotate off. And we have kids on deck, to borrow Dr. Cooper's baseball analogy. We have kiddos on deck. They are rotating in and out. And it has been so profoundly valuable for our students, for our teachers, for our elementary counselors. And so our hope is to see how we can expand that and be able to offer that for middle schools and then move that up. So I'm looking at funding sources for that, but that has been really exciting, and it's really met a need that we've had for several years. We also contract with Impact. We continue to work with them for some of our students who are in exceptional education. Some of them have Impact written in as part of their IEPs. And so Impact provides those counseling services for them. And when we have students who have a discipline infraction and are referred to alternative placement, we offer Impact as a support for them. So yes, there's a discipline consequence, but we also provide that support because, I don't know, 9.9 times out of 10, there's some other issue that's causing them to act in the way that they were. So we always want to provide that for families and students.
Do the parents give consent for their kids?
They sure do. We do that at our intake meeting. We just offer that. If they're seeing another counselor, then of course we don't do that, but we do provide it. And we have students who even after their placement is over and they transition back to their regular schedule, parents can pay for that continued service. So, and that's been good for a lot of our kiddos. One of our other prevention, this is another partnership we have. It's not really community because it's with the University of Boulder. It's life skills training that we continue to do in the middle grades, 6th through 8th grade. We continue to provide this in our social studies classes. The teachers are trained by trainers and they provide the instruction. It's an evidence-based substance abuse and violence prevention program, which is something that we're required to do by the state. It's good practice, but we're also required to do it. And these are the topics that are covered. There are more lessons in the 6th grade because we're just providing that foundational knowledge for students as they transition, but it also builds on those in 7th and 8th grade. So
These are taught by our counselors?
It's taught by they're actually the kiddos, social studies teachers.
Yeah, that's right.
So a teacher that I have relationship and rapport with already is talking to me about these things. And it's real scripted for the teachers. And we've even looked at other programs that might be valuable and that sort of thing, but this is what we're currently continuing to use. We always are trying to evaluate, but this has been solid for us. And then finally, both Anna Gaston and I just completed my Train the Trainer on Youth Mental Health First Aid, and Anna Gaston will do that. And the reason we chose to do that is because rather than paying someone to come in and equip our faculty and staff, now we can do that. And so it's generally, if you think about first aid, if you have ever taken that, you're trying to really be aware and to notice things, signs of someone having a heart attack, for example, or if someone has cut their arm, what do? You go in, you see the injury, and you address it. Well, that's what youth mental health first aid is. It educates us, anyone, on what symptoms of mental health distress might look like and ways to administer first aid, if you will, until the experts come in, until you can refer out. So it by no means trains anyone to be a counselor, but it does train them to meet that need in the moment until the counseling arrives. And so I have big plans, okay? It's probably like a 10 to 15 year plan, but I have big goals for this. It's an international, it's actually first started in Australia. It gives those who become certified in it awareness of anxiety, what those symptoms look like, and how to just in the moment intervene. It addresses depression, substance use, disruptive behavior disorders, and eating disorders. But again, there's not a burden to counsel or deliver any sort of service in that regard. So for me, I would love for all of our teachers to be at some point certified in it. And they talk to us all the time about, I have this going on with a student in my class, what do I do? In the same way they're trying to figure out a reading gap, they are asking, and this student won't engage, what can I do? Or I see this in this student, what are ways I can support him or her? How can I talk with the family? And so they've also reached out to us about it years before, but most certainly now. I would love for our SROs, our child nutrition employees, all the bus drivers who work very closely with our students and have those different relationships and see what we don't always see. I would love for them to also be trained. But it has a lot of value in our community as well, as we try to address the awareness of mental health concerns and equip our folks to just really observe and be aware of. I think there's a lot of opportunity also to do community trainings. And so I think long-term, this could be really powerful for our larger community. So any questions? This is a one-day training, but it's intensive. But very, very good. Our counselors actually did it a couple years ago. We went through it together, and even they, who are trained to be the experts, learned a lot and felt like it was super valuable. So, all right.
For information she's presented to is available on our website. The programs we're involved in, professional development we give. Anyone can see. We've got, I think, a well-rounded group of supporters and community advocates and partnerships. I finished recent meetings with principals just on their request for staffing next year. And the thing that quickly emerges in the school system that where the population has been static the last several years, it's not the request for additional classroom teachers or for content area teachers. It's the larger growing needs in specialized services such as ed, counseling, or EL. That's what they're saying our needs are, is what our principals are saying. So we're having to grapple with those things in our budget and determine what priorities are. But it looks different today than it did just a few years ago, that those needs are continuing to increase. So we'll be grappling with that this spring.
I think this is excellent. I got an email from a 23-year-old son, based on the events of this past week, with the invasion of Ukraine, and well, should I be worried? What's happening? And my 23-year-old son's thinking that. I know our 13-year-olds are thinking that. I know, and so just any support groups that are support that you can have for these students that it's real. It's what's going on in our world, and they have questions and anxiety and all that stuff. I think it's excellent what you're providing.
Great. Sounds good then. I'm constantly amazed because y'all know there's more than showing up at 8 o'clock, turning the lights on in the school building and turning them off at 3 o'clock. And one thing being on this board, we get to see and hear all the stuff that y'all do every day that nobody else knows. So I thank y'all for everything. I mean, it's amazing, all the stuff. I'm kind of glad I'm not a student because that's a whole lot of stuff to get into this head. So that wouldn't work well. So, and Dr. Cooper, I got the paperwork for the two-way glass for your office. After throwing me under the bus there. Okay, anybody got anything? Okay, Mr. Boone's ready to go. All right, this meeting is over. Thank you.